In the last video, we bought this beautiful Audi Q5 S-Line, but it actually turned out that it's got a bit more damage than we was expecting. It's actually got a hole in the engine, and this is that said hole in the engine sump there. And as you can see, it's dropped all of its oil, and that's caused the engine to actually seize up and ultimately made this engine worthless. You can see a lot of oil made its way back there, so the car must have been still travelling after it had that hole in it, which has probably caused the engine to lock up. Fortunately for us, we managed to actually get this one very quickly in the last video from the guys down at Reclamet. And as you can see, this one has come complete with its DPF, catalytic converter, turbocharger, and all of the ancillaries, including that gearbox. But we're not actually going to be using this gearbox because it's programmed to the car it come out of, and apparently we don't actually know. This is only what we've learned from professionals on the Audis, is this gearbox is a bit of a nightmare to program into our car, so we're going to go with our original. Chris is currently busy for the next hour helping out down with some stuff around the yard, so I'm actually going to prep this car ready for that new engine and to get this one removed. There's quite a lot of work to be getting on with, including removing this complete front end. It needs to come off anyway because it's severely damaged, but we need to get all that out of the way to aid removing this engine. Let's get on with it. So all nuts and bolts on this one, and of course trim clips, and I'm going to start with pulling the big box out here so I can actually stick all the good, usable, valuable parts in that box nice and safe. So we'll get all the nuts and bolts out the front bumper, get that removed. Chris just come and had a look, took both of the headlights out and got those placed in the bottom of that box where they cannot be damaged. So just about 25 seconds there for you watching, and probably about 45 minutes for me, but really moving on with it and got a lot of this removed. Now this is interesting. The actual condenser doesn't look like it's got any, well, it has got a little bit of damage on it there and a tiny bit on the bottom, but I don't know whether that's still holding gas. So if it does, we're going to need to vac that out. I'll get that checked, get that recovered. I'll get that checked shortly. But you can actually see now that I've got the radiators removed and this front crash bar, that it is limited to just underneath the crash bar, where it was actually damaged. And it doesn't look like, apart from a couple of very minor breaks in the radiator plugs, down here you can see where it has actually concentrated to the bottom of this engine. Now I reckon, I'm assuming that pulley's had a little bit of a whack as well, because this pulley has definitely had a whack, hasn't it? If you look there, that's the AC compressor. You can see that is pretty chewed up. Now I know a lot of you are going to say you should have cut the belt before you turned it over. Now that's never going to hold it. That belt wouldn't hold. Chris would have easily been able to turn that with that belt on there. It would have spun round, but regardless, I will remove that belt anyway a little bit later on. But so far so good. It doesn't look like anything else up here is broken, which is what we wanted. Now there is a few like little clips that just hold your wire into your front panel, and they do, I'm not going to pull it off now, but I'll get a little trim clip remover in there and you just pop those off out the way. It is always advisable, if you've not done it before, take loads of pictures so you know how all this plugs in. But a lot of the wiring, when you put it back together, I think you've heard Chris say the way it lays. So this one in particular here, if you hold that, you can see that actually clips on and that plugs in there, and that is the front crash bar with that pedestrian protection blow off actually goes there. I'm just noticing there is another broken wire there and it looks like an earth. Anyway, I'm going to continue on and get all of the rest of that stripped out, and we'll have a little look further in. And then continuing on with that front panel, front crash bar, pedestrian protection foam with the pipe in there, and all of the pipes that I can reach up here. So you've got diesel pipes. You'll see I put a piece of tape on there saying yellow, blue and white, I think it was, just to know what way around those pipes go. You've got two water pipes at the back and various other pipes to unplug. I've been a very busy bee there, and I believe I've gone as far as I can actually go. That's all the fuel lines removed, the water lines removed, ECU, wiring, all of the coolant pipes. I've literally removed everything I can in order to just to aid us really once we get it inside. The last bits I have done, because this car is an auto and it's showing that it's in park, and of course I need to put it into neutral, but to leave the live connections on, so we won't be removing them until we've got it in the workshop. Chris did finish with Dan quite a while ago, and he's actually cracked on in there just to familiarise himself really with that gearbox, removing it from the other engine.
Quite simple.
Quite simple.
3 bolts hold it to the drive plate.
I'm going to hold you to that being simple when we're putting
Well,
it on this one.
It shocked me that there's only 3 bolts in there. But
Yeah, I'll show that while you're coming in to
All right.
load it. Do you need some guidance or you're all right?
You're all right, mate.
So there's actually, the engine's over there, and you can see just there, there's an inspection hole just through there. I've got the cap here somewhere for it, and you whip that inspection cover out, and then you just get in there and you've got your 1, 2, just 3 of those bolts holding it. I'll probably show you on this better, but 1, 2, 3 bolts holding it on. So Chris is going to get that out of the way, and then we're going to move straight on to, sorry, just giving him a bit of guidance there. We'll get that moved out of the way, and then what we'll do is we'll actually get the car in, get it on the ramp, and make a start on it. Definitely the best way to do it as well was split it from this gearbox because of the programming and all sorts of headaches that was required to actually get that to fit the car. So I've had a bit of a result this morning, because even though I'm here half an hour early, somebody's already been cracking. How long have you been out here?
Quite a while. I wanted to get on with it because I want to get away a bit early today, hopefully. Get to the cinema.
How are we getting on?
So, we knew what was going to be the tricky bit on this job, didn't we, from looking at that one over there.
Starter motor, I haven't mentioned that
Have
yet.
you not?
No.
Right, so I don't know if you want to show it
I
on
will
that one.
show
Quickly,
that actually,
probably
quickly.
easier to
So
see.
you've got your DPF, everything's here, and then your starter motor is actually here, and it has like a, not a tumbler, what would you call
Spacer.
it? A spacer that actually goes in here. That falls out, and then you've got your starter motor bolt right at the bottom there, and you can see that engine mount actually blocks it all the way in.
Yeah, the forward-facing bolts are not too bad. It's this bolt going in this direction, which
I can see it now,
can you
Chris.
see it?
Yeah, because I know where I'm looking.
Right there's the head.
Yeah.
See, so it is wound right out. You can't get the bolt right out because it hits that engine mount, same as on that one.
Yeah.
But it is out. And then the other one is that bell housing bolt. I don't know if you can see it's missing.
Yeah, I can see it, but
See
I
that
don't
one?
think I'm going to be able to show it, mate, to be honest. 'Cause
It's
yeah, we can just about see it there.
And not a chance without removing that. I thought, no way. That's upside down. That's in there.
So you've
I've
give
had-
us a bit of an head start.
Yeah, so I've put the engine on the lift, and I've took that out from there, so I could get in there and get those out. And that's also enabled me to get those 3 nuts
On the
off of the exhaust.
downpipe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I've done the top one first, then I lowered it. Yeah, I can do it. Lowered it
Oh,
down,
I see,
which
yeah.
enabled me to get that one.
And then the other one's right at the back, isn't it?
The other one, I've had to come in through there with a long extension and a wobbly bar and get it and unbolt it from the other side of that drive shaft.
But you got there with it.
Yeah, so they're all of those tricky bits really that we looked at are done. So
We ready to start undoing the bell housing
yeah, I
bolts?
think it's all pretty straightforward from.
Chris, is that worth mentioning? Because someone is going to put in the comments section, hang on a minute, yesterday you guys said you had to turn the crank and undo 3 bolts.
Yep.
And fair's fair, we both sat there last night and went, how on earth are we going to get
The drive plate.
the drive plate out without
unbolted.
that? And I'm going to say it now, Chris, can I just get you to hold that? That's all right, that's fine. I grabbed the biggest bar Chris had in there, and then I grabbed this while I was outside, and I put it on the end of it, and just one donk, that is actually now turning freely. But like you said, it's picked up.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
been starved of oil,
The
and
crank.
even though it is no longer
Yeah.
seized, we are not taking any chances.
No,
Let's,
that's right. So yeah, it's going to be bell housing.
Them
I
3
think
bolts.
you've took the inspection plate out.
I have,
haven't
yeah.
you? So I think we'll take it up. We'll have to crank that up a bit and go a bit higher. Get under there. You turn it, and I'll take I mean, you can film it if you like, but it's not going to
It's
show
too
a lot.
tight, yeah.
It's not going to show a great deal, I don't think, Rob.
Let's get that engine out. I mean, I did as best I could, unplumbed everything yesterday, so to speak. So fingers crossed we get them ball housing bolts, get them plate bolts undone, and this engine should just slide straight out. So ready to go here, and you can see, just checking that there's nothing left holding it, and I think we'll come down with a ramp, come down with the engine hoist, and then start the process of pulling that out. But teamwork makes the dream work, we always say, and although it's there's not a lot of room there for two people to be working on it, we're both cracking on, getting everything that we need removed, and I think we're ready to pull that engine away from the car. So a little bit more awkward to get that out than it was to separate the engine from the other gearbox, and that is, of course, it's always going to be easier working on an engine and gearbox on the floor out of the vehicle. So that was a little tiny bit tight there, but we muddled through, as they say, and we got there with it. Now, one interesting thing that I did just want to check, and Chris was like, no way did that just happen. So of course, before we put that engine in, we want to check these labels. So you can see there, 04L971595BC, exactly the same. And then when we turn it over the other side, we got a date there. And I mean, this is a bit, Chris said, Rob, you've got to show that. It won't focus. 23rd of the 2nd, 2018. Now, all right, I said same engine,
Have you shown that
but
one?
no.
So same number.
Exactly the same number. And when you flick it over, what is the chances of that? 23rd of the 2nd, 2018.
Crazy, isn't it?
So them wiring looms, well, I thought it was the engines, didn't I? But you said
It could be either, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Tagged up.
exactly the same day and 2 hours apart. They've even got a timestamp on them. Yours was at 2 o'clock, mine was at 4 o'clock. Unbelievable. So yeah, a little bit tighter to get it out, but we believe that there's no prep work really for this, apart from we are going to grease up these dowels and just make sure
I'm going to remove that because I took it off on the other one.
the earth, yeah.
I'm going to remove that because I took it off on the other one.
I can't see what it is. Oh, I see that
So
little.
I could get to that bolt for the starter motor.
Okay,
Because otherwise I'll be back in the same position when
Right.
I'm going to take that off now and take that out the way ready.
and then just get that engine moved out of the way, get this one roped up. We'll probably have a slightly shorter chain. It's going to help us out. But we've had to prop the gearbox as well because it drops that much. You can see we've actually propped it with some pieces of wood. And then we'll just, once we get a couple of bell housing bolts in, we can lift it up slightly and remove those pieces of wood. So not a great deal to show. Again, we are just going to crack on and try and get it done. This is,
Another thing we're going
yeah.
to do is
yes.
replicate the position of that drive plate.
So we
That
got
one's come apart.
a green dot there,
And more important, we got the two holes there.
and
We're
then
going to position that one in the same place.
yeah. So basically, we're going to turn this one right round till it's in exactly the same place. So those holes was irrelevant, you said.
Yeah, they're in a different position completely on this, so they must be for balancing.
Yeah.
Just drilled them out,
Slightly different on
sealed
that
them
one.
out. So we've gone with that mark to that one, and that hole lining up with the. So we'd be very, very close, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
You might just have to go on the bar on the front while I lay underneath and get the first bolt in.
This is going to be the awkward part. This is a heavy, heavy engine. Very, very short.
Yeah.
You said that earlier. It's very heavy, and this could be.
What we do, we get it slung a little bit different because that was trying to rotate the
Yeah.
engine. So I've got a swivel that goes on that with a hook on it, so you can
That'd be a bit
360
better,
the
wouldn't it?
engine.
Yeah.
And then it won't be trying to rotate out a square, and we'll have it a bit shorter so we don't hit the bonnet.
Let's get it on now.
All right.
So out with that engine and in with the new one, and we are straight on with it. We get it in there, get one bell housing bolt in the top, and then I go down underneath, get two in the bottom there. It's slotted straight together very, very nicely. And once we've got that in there, we can concentrate on start getting a few more bits bolted back on there. And I know there's quite a lot of work there to do on the driver's side engine mount because Chris removed that. That definitely Didn't take 30 seconds, and it wasn't as easy as that actually looked there. But that is the engine actually in place now. We have got it still resting on the engine lift. Chris is just fitting that engine mount that you took out previously. But we got 3 bell housing bolts in there. So 1 at the back centre, 2 at the bottom, right down there at the bottom, all butted up lovely.
Yeah.
You've got all 3 drive plate bolts back in.
Yeah.
And this awkward start motor ones.
With that spacer,
With a spacer. So because we had that engine mount out, it really did help, and it aided us to get in there nicely. So Chris is just fitting that engine mount, and then we can actually remove the engine hoist and then start the process of plumbing all of this one back up. I say we, because I'm actually going to whip down to a Reclamat.
Yeah, definitely.
Get some suspension for this.
Yeah.
A fuel tank strap we've noticed we need.
Yeah.
And also the exhaust is all squashed underneath.
It is, yeah.
We've noticed from probably a forklift, possibly.
I don't think so. I think it's gone over a roundabout or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's started the damage there, and
it has. So there is still a few bits, and obviously that back wheel, you can see, even with that. I did manage to open this back door as well. And there was no fighting involved. That handle, you just pulled it up and it opened. So he did say it opened, but you can see the back wheel is laying in there. So I'm going to go and get this suspension for that. Something's bent on the front here, so I need to get that. And they did have a rad pack and all other bits down there for us that looked like it may have survived on the other one. So I'll grab all that as well. Leave you with Chris to get a few of these bolts back in.
that's it, mate.
So now we've got it in there, just up and down, leave it on the engine hoist. There's no reason to remove that engine hoist whatsoever. Even though you think you've got it on there, you're better off getting all of your bell housing bolts back in there. And of course, you need it to go up and down with your engine mount. Chris has got that driver side engine mount fitted. It made so much sense to remove that. And actually, this job is going so well. So that's a new engine in there, just starting the reverse process of putting everything back together. All your diesel pipes, water pipes, your electrical connections. Well, a lot of mess to clean up, but not a lot of nuts and bolts left over. Chris has just finished putting in the last bell housing bolt, and he has got the little water pipe bracket that is actually...
I'm doing the gear selector.
Right, okay.
I think that's what it is, gear select. I mean, this is a what's his name, gearbox, isn't it?
Tiptronic, is
yeah,
it? Would you call
so
it?
it's actually then a robot clutch, I guess, is it?
It's a manual with
So I'm just putting that bracket back on. Then there's those gearbox oil cooler water pipes to go on, and I think that's the bulk of that done then, and it's all kind of the stuff that you disconnected outside.
Start piecing it all back together.
Just bit of pipe work, bit of electrics, isn't it?
All right, well, I still haven't been to Reclamat. I've been waiting for them to call me back. Now they've called, I'm going to head down there and Chris is going to carry on with it. 2 bell housing bolts at the top there that couldn't go in until the car had been lowered down and everything else had been put back on. So Chris is making light work of getting both of those bolts put in. Couple of last little finishing touches, and I think we're getting very, very close to actually turning this one over, and I'm getting pretty excited about it. Back down at Reclamat, I've loaded a lot of stuff in the back of the car, but they're just taking off the last couple of little bits for me. So all of that rear suspension system, I've got the exhaust, got the front panel, and I've even got the front bumper off of this car, just because we didn't get hardly anything with ours, so it'll be nice if we need any little extra parts. They're going to be here with this car, aren't they? So let's let them get that off. We'll get it loaded and get back to the yard, but I'll show you in the back of the van in a minute. It's actually quite funny how much I've managed to squeeze in that little Berlingo van. It surprises me every time. Right, let's get it all off and get back to the yard. And that is how we do it. Complete rear suspension in there. Complete front bumper, complete rad pack and front panel, and the complete exhaust pipe. And I actually got it all to fit and got the door shut perfect. It's just taken off that tank strap for me, and I think we are good to head back to the yard. Right, Chris has just gone through, just double checked, gone over everything, and I've just been round, got some oil and filter. We've filled it up. We've only put 4 litres of oil in it. It holds 4.7. 4 litres of oil. Obviously, we can't put any water in it at the moment.
No.
No coolant.
We just want to see if it cranks.
We do want to see if it cranks. We have got the, I'll show that actually.
Yep.
We've got the booster on the battery in the back there. And what do you reckon? You're going to go
Well,
for
we just see if it cranks and then we go from there, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly the same engine code, exactly the same codes and date to the day on the wiring loom.
Yeah.
Johnny, wang it over.
Wang it over.
No way!
Wow.
Did you turn that off?
No. It started though.
Fired straight up but cut out. That was obviously the fuel that was in the engine.
I'll go again. I have to turn it off now,
Yeah,
don't I?
people think that was made up.
Right.
That what must have been just... Sounds sweet as a nut.
That was easy, wasn't it?
Mate,
If only they were all that easy,
I'll
mate.
take that. Go on, start it up once more. That sounds good. Do you know what? It's a bit loud because there's no airbox on it. I think that's it. That engine sounds so quiet. Got much warning lights?
Half a tank of diesel.
That's it.
A few lights on, obviously.
No power steering.
Crash date.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, that's good
mate.
news, isn't it?
I'm made up.
Yeah.
Should we get the wheels on, see if we can drive it out of this workshop?
Can do.
Better turn that off, it's got no coolant, is it? What I did pick up while I was down at Reclamet was that exhaust. Of course, that's going to have to go on because this one's squished.
Shall we do that all?
I think so, yeah, but not today, Chris.
No, I'm confident that's going to drive.
Yeah.
So we may as well continue on now, haven't we?
Actually, start it back up, take the handbrake off and put it in drive. If it goes into drive.
Yeah. It's gone in.
Oh yeah, they're all turning. And again. Yeah, they're all turning. That's perfect. Are you happy with that?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Knock it off then, mate.
I mean, you know, it's not something you want every day of the week, is it, when you buy a salvage car?
No, definitely not.
It wasn't the end of the world, was it?
No.
And we bought it right. So
We did buy it right, and we've got a lot of the parts.
And Reclamet have looked after us with an engine, haven't they?
They have. I am going to remind everyone, though, before we wrap this video up, of how bad the damage is on the quarter panel of this car. It is very, very bad. You can see how far in it is there, but that wheel there with the damage on it, of course, I've got that whole corner of suspension. We've got the rad pack complete there. Basically, mate, over the moon with it. Are you?
Yeah. Very, very good, that is.
So that is going to be the end of today's video on the Audi. If you did enjoy it, we would really, really appreciate that thumbs up. It's completely free of charge. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button already. If you want to follow us on Instagram throughout the day for the daily sneak peeks, it's Salvage Rebuilds for us. And Chris has got his own little personal one at Salvage Rebuilds Chris. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share. And we'll look forward to seeing you all very, very soon in the next one.